Welcome to Love Your Organs, where we break down the blueprint of your body. Today, we will be discussing the liver. So let's get started and talk about the structure. Your liver is a complex organ with two lobes, your right lobe and your left lobe, as well as your gallbladder, which we are also going to talk about today, which is tucked up in there. On the screen, you can also see all the different labels for the different veins and the ducts, as well as your inferior vena cava and your aorta. So now that you know what your liver looks like from the inside, let's move on and let's talk about some of the functions that your liver has. While your liver has over 500 different functions, today we're going to break them down and really simplify them. So the first thing we're going to talk about is detoxification. Your liver is a great detoxer. The first thing it does is it filters blood coming from the digestive tract before it passes to the rest of the body. The second thing it does is it breaks down and removes your toxins, drugs, and alcohol that are flowing through your bloodstream. Another thing that your liver does is help with the metabolism of your macronutrients. So first up is carbohydrates. So the liver converts the excess glucose into glycogen for storage and vice versa when needed. When it comes to fat, it breaks down fats to produce energy and make cholesterol. So your cholesterol is actually formed in your liver. The liver also helps with the metabolism of proteins, and it produces something called urea, which is a waste product excreted in the urine when we have too much protein flowing through our bloodstream. Next up is bile production. This is where your liver produces bile, which helps digest fats and carry away waste products. This is also the main function of your gallbladder. So the reason why we can actually do away with the gallbladder is because when we no longer have a gallbladder, our liver can take over this bile production. It's a redundant need, and so that is why we can get away with not having a gallbladder. Our liver is also vital for storage. It stores vitamins and minerals like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, vitamin B12, iron, as well as glycogen, which we talked about earlier, which is a form of sugar. The liver is also needed for blood clotting. It produces proteins needed for blood clotting like fibrinogen and prothrombin. The liver also acts as an important step in the immune response, as it acts as a filter for pathogens and helps support the immune system through specialized cells. One of them is the Kupfner cells. The last function we're going to talk about today is hormone regulation. Did you know that your liver actually helps regulate the levels of sex hormones, thyroid hormones, and cortisol in your bloodstream and throughout your body? And so this is just one of the many reasons, as we've listed today, that we need to make sure that our liver is happy and healthy. So how do we do that? There are two main conditions when it comes to liver failure or an unhealthy liver. The first one we're going to talk about is a fatty liver. A fatty liver is exactly what it sounds like. It is when fat is deposited into the cell of the liver. It comes from a poor diet and not giving the liver what it needs in order to operate at its prime. And so it's really, really important that we're paying attention to what we're eating and how we're taking care of our liver. And then, of course, the other condition that we're all familiar with is cirrhosis, which is caused by an overuse of alcohol. Both the fatty liver and cirrhosis, both of these prognoses can be hard to identify because there are no symptoms. Typically, your liver has to get to a 90% effect rate of cirrhosis or the fatty liver before we begin to feel symptoms. And so it's important that we're taking care of our liver in order to avoid that. So how do we take care of our liver? First up is green tea. Green tea has been shown to help with the functions of the liver. Next up is black coffee. Straight black coffee has shown that there are some health benefits when it comes to helping our liver's function. And then last but not least, and of course best of all, is the variety of foods that we're eating. Making sure that we're eating leafy greens and lots of vegetables and fruit and getting our protein in will help make sure that we are supporting our liver. While we want to avoid things like sugar, and especially processed sugars, those really block up and require a lot of glycogen and glucose storage, and can make it very, very difficult for the liver to continue to perform optimally. Some other things that we want to avoid is our alcohol. There has been study after study showing that there is no real safe amount for your liver. So it's best to avoid alcohol altogether when it comes to your liver. However, if that's just not an option for you, we recognize life and we all like to have a nice fun drink every now and then. Just make sure that we're limiting it to ideally just 1 to 2 glasses a day. And then the last but not least, and maybe most pertinent to our Utah viewers here, is soda pop. Soda is really, really harmful to your liver, and we want to make sure that we are avoiding it altogether. But those are just some of our yeses and our nos when it comes to liver, as well as thanks for being here while we discuss the functions. That's our video today discussing all things liver. Join us next week as we discuss some of the other important organs in our bodies. And remember, love your organs.